Hey, Gabriel Blake.
Hey, Gabriel Jose.
Where are we today?
We're in our homes.
hmm
Uh, Bars are still not open unless they're serving food. Still a weird time. So, Jose got an air conditioner, so he's never going to leave his apartment again.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's funny because before I was dreading like, just seeing that the temperature was going to go over 75, and now I'm like just looking forward to it for
You're
just being
waiting.
able to use it. It's like I'm just staring to it right now. It's like do your thing, do your magic. You just turn my city days into just perfect utopia.
I actually just found a new apartment that I'll move into in the next couple of weeks
Mm.
that has central air conditioning. And
Oh
I thought,
yeah.
how ridiculous is it that I could have given Jose my air conditioner like today, and you got yours a few days ago?
I mean, I wonder if I could still return it, but it's fine. I mean, you guys can just keep it. But yeah, no, that's true. And the funny thing is that you guys are going to be like pretty close. Is that maybe
Yeah,
it's going to be
hopefully
easier
never
to
again.
actually just record? Yeah, we can record. Yeah,
And it's
face to
actually a
face.
warehouse we've rented, so you might just want to hang out in my warehouse
Oh my God, yeah, it's my dream. Like just having a friend with a warehouse.
with a
And
bunch of
if
junkies outside.
yeah, it's like my first like priority on friends, it would be like one with an inflatable house and a swimming pool, and
Mhm.
second is a warehouse in the Tenderloin. It's like that was pretty close to each other. So it's like
I'm
you
glad
all are
I can
just
help.
becoming. Yep, yeah,
I'm
my dreams
helping
coming
you
true.
meet your goals, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah, my life goals. So what did we watch today?
We watched the Michael Haneke. I would argue masterpiece. It is a masterpiece. 1997 film. Funny Games, not to be confused with the American remake, roughly 15, 16 years later, that was also directed by Michael Haneke, who also wrote the
hmm
script for each.
Does the script really varies? Is like really different from the American version to the Austrian one?
It's been a long time since I saw the American version. From my recollection, it's almost exactly the same, but there are some very interesting differences. For instance, the specific words that the bad guys say when they break the fourth wall,
Yeah.
there are changes that seem not significant, but also very intentional. So I don't know what he was trying to say by changing it. But again, it's been a long time since I saw the American version.
Gotcha. And the American version is from 2007, and the original one is
Starring
97.
Tim Roth, Naomi Watts,
hmm
and Michael Pitt.
Michael Pitt. Is Michael Pitt related to Brad Pitt?
I don't believe so.
No, it's not. I don't see it at least. Oh, that he's on the Dreamers. There is another movie that you have on the list.
That would have been a good pick for this week.
You can still change it.
No,
It's
no, I already
fine. I'm
picked. I
fine.
already
No,
picked.
no, I'm good. I'm good changing. Don't worry. Don't worry about me. Okay, so I think that this was my pick. As we're coming from heaven, and I thought that I wanted to just stay with German cinema, and I had forgotten about how emotionally draining this movie is.
You remember from an rational perspective because we haven't stopped talking about this movie since the night we met for the second time,
Yep.
but you cannot remember emotionally what it
Yep.
is.
What is the cost associated with watching this movie? It's like how it actually just touch your heart. It's basically like did you watch Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom?
Is that the one good one? Because I watched the one good one.
If you're going to tell me that the one with Shia LaBeouf is the good one, you are dead to me.
I didn't even consider that as part of Indiana Jones, and I love what's her name, Kate Blanchett.
Yeah, but yeah, that movie is not good. The Crystal Skull, but no, the Temple of Doom is that the one with the sect or cult. That they actually just pull the hearts out.
I did see that when I was a kid. Yes.
Yeah, and probably you had nightmares because of that. But it exactly is what this movie does to you. It's like it just goes into your heart and it just pull it out and just smash it. Is that that's what it's doing? It actually just crushes you. So I think that it had been long enough since the last time that I watched it that I was curious to see how it had aged as we have watched like way more cinema since then.
And what is the specific answer you got to that question about whether it aged or not?
The answer is I love and hate this movie at the same time. It's like such an internally polarizing movie inside me. There is like this. I don't know if I would call it completely a masterpiece, but I will still say like this is a work of genius.
I would completely agree. And then to answer that specific question, I would say it has aged remarkably. There's something about Haneke's work that is timeless, and there are some like artifacts of the time, like an old cell phone, but overall this could have been made today and it would feel just as fresh.
Yeah. So the fun, interesting thing that I was actually thinking about that, and we discussed about it. That is like I always think about movies that they age poorly. If you introduce a mobile phone, the movie goes to garbage. And it's like this movie you could have worked around, like maybe in 2007 there were already like mobile phones, and maybe they address like that topic about like we don't have signal here. It's as easy as that. Is that we have the landline?
Cutting a landline or dropping a cordless phone into the water.
Yep. Is that there are like many ways that you can actually just work around like the limitations and just still keep the same kind of tension. But a fun fact about this movie, I started, I don't know, like the first time that I watched it in 2000.
Do you want to give a synopsis first?
You are going to give a synopsis first because it was my pick.
Okay, I'll give a quick synopsis. We're introduced to a beautiful Northern European family. They're, I would assume German because I'm an ugly American, but probably they're Austrian. And you see the mom and the dad, and they're driving their sailboat up to their beautiful gated lake house for a week or two. They're going to sail on the lake. They clearly know all their neighbors, and it's very upper middle class. But in a very kind of vague sense. There's no names of cities. It's just all supposed to be very ambiguous.
Yeah.
And two very well-dressed, extremely polite young men come into their home, at first to borrow eggs for the neighbor, and then they get more and more and more invasive until you understand that in their extreme polite manner, they intend on torturing this family for, I think it's 12 hours from like 9 a.m.
Yep.
They ask the family to take a bet with them. The bad guys bet that they would all be dead by 9 a.m. And they break the protocol. Us to take a bet about what we think will happen and what we want to happen. And then we just watch this family suffer degradation and humiliation and violence that happens off screen until the end of the movie, where you'll have to watch to figure out.
Come on, we spoil every single movie. Come on, we spoil every single movie. You can just say that they all died.
So they all died in different ways. The last one, the mom dies at 8 a.m. And that's about it. Did I miss anything?
No, I think that actually summarizes, and that's like one of the things that is like when I started watching, is like I know what this movie is about. It's like if I had to summarize it to someone, it's probably one of the easiest movies to summarize of all the movies that we watch here. It's like I would have like a harder time summarizing Jurassic Park than summarizing this. And Jurassic Park is like they built a park, there are dinosaurs eat people, they run away from the park. That's the whole summary. But in this one is like they go to their house, a couple shows up, they torture them and they kill them.
They force them to play funny games and then they die.
I mean, the fourth thing is that they never like just really play any kind of funny games. It's the perspective of just saying that it's twisted. The whole thing is twisted. Is that there is no real like point to it, and that's like the disturbing thing. The first disturbing thing that they ask them like multiple times, like, why are you doing this? It's clear that you are not someone that comes to steal from us. It's not something that you have like some kind of need for doing this. It's just basically that there is no reason. That's what is so terrifying. Is that about like the random act of violence that you can even like just connect to the young people from the Clockwork Orange about like the acts of hyper violence that they have. Is the same thing. It's like these guys are just going around and just killing people.
Yeah. So I saw this on the Criterion Channel. They happened to have the original press conference from Cannes there. So after I watched the film, I watched the press conference. And the very first question was like, so what are you trying to say is that young rich men kind of need something beyond their privileged upbringing, and he was like, this is the direction I was afraid questions are going to go. There is nothing sociological about this. The point of the film is to have violence without reason.
Yep.
Or without like, a purpose, without a...
Yep.
So yeah, you really nailed it on the head. That's what's terrifying about this film.
Yeah, it's a bit more like, look, you could actually just try to make like a social reading or whatever. It's like all of them are high class, let's say. No, it's that the family owns like a really nice house. The kids that they show up, it's like they look like probably they are like middle to high class too. It's like there is nothing here. It's like basically just going back to Benny's video. Is that you have like this kid that is completely happy and spoiled, you know, and then suddenly just kills this girl. It's Haneke. It's just Haneke telling the judge, like, you look at this society that it may look absolutely perfect, and my only purpose in life is just making you think that it's like, no, everything is fucked up. And not for a reason. It's just fucked up because it's fucked up.
Well, so I would disagree with you in that regard, because I feel like Haneke is saying very specifically, everything is fucked up because you want it to be fucked up. Why are you watching this movie? You want this family to die. Like you're placing bets with all of them. Why are you going to see a horror movie? What's the purpose?
No. And we disagree on this, and this is like probably one of our longest kind of disagreements. Is like I don't think that that's the case. It's like in many movies that they are like horror movies. It's like the people are so stupid that you may actually just root for the bad guys. About I want them to die. But for example, like movies, and I'm going to be like spoiling a couple of them, is movies like Arlington Road. Is like a
like which one?
Arlington Road with let me just 1 second. So I'm spoiling it for you too. Arlington Road with Tim Robbins and Jeff Bridges. Tim Robbins is actually the bad guy, you know, and he basically is toying with Jeff Bridges the whole time. But it's like there is a clear motivation about why he's doing that, and it's not that it's like a good motivation, but at least there is enough depth for just saying like, sure, you know, that he wins is not bad, and he actually wins. You know, it's one of those cool like the bad guys wins, and he does like an act of terrorist. And in this case, it's a bit more like these guys don't have motivation. They don't have any kind of background. They don't have anything that is virtually impossible to cheer for them. Is that the whole time I was, you know, the first time that I saw her, is like this is the classic movies that you want the victim to come up on top. Is that they're just being like tortured over and over, that you have this kind of catharsis feeling with the good guys, the family, to actually say like, I want them to win. But actually what I feel from this is that Haneke is basically just playing like the Greek tragedy and just playing like the God role into the movie. Because when she even just grabs the shotgun and shoots one of the bad guys, he's telling you, he's like just looking at you, he's like, oh, you thought that this was like a fair game? That they had any kind of chance? He's like, no, it's not about that. It's about torturing and killing them. It's about like just having the feeling that you don't have any kind of escape from the tragedy because I'm the god and you are like just my victim. The audience is the victim of Haneke.
But yes, and we do just disagree on this. I think he is obsessed with violence in real life, and he is disgusted that people experience that and they go and watch it for entertainment, and so he just wanted to punish viewers that he sees as amoral.
I mean, the thing is, I think, especially if I combine it with the rest of the movies from Haneke, is I would say that is all the movies that I watch from him, is that basically the message at the end of the day is that people are terrible. It doesn't matter if they're like high class, middle class, low class, whatever. It's like all of them are terrible. It's like inherently humans are garbage.
But okay, so today, with great joy, after I watched the movie, I realized that in the last 25 years, I've never read the New York Times review of the original Funny Games.
Okay.
So I read it, and I wanted to read you it's just one paragraph.
Oh.
So tell me why you think this reminds me in a bad way of both David Lynch with Mulholland Drive and I can't remember the other person, but let me read the paragraph.
Sure.
Michael Haneke, the creator of Funny Games, has appended a director's statement to the movie's production notes. So basically 10 steps to understanding his brilliant film, in which he talks loftily about the dissolving line between real existence and representation in movies and television, and the quote, the oscillation between the disconcerting feeling of taking a part in a real happening and the emotional security of seeing only the depiction of an artificially created or even discovered reality. He's shaming us because we are watching violence for entertainment, and because of that, he abuses the shit out of us in this movie.
No, that's completely fair, and I think that he actually plays many times with the archetypes of horror movies. I think that we discussed this. Like, for example, there are like a small winks about, okay, we're going to be like leaving the knife in the boat, like a very sharp knife that they almost look at the camera and say, like, can you give me a very sharp knife for the boat? Because I need to just break, and they leave it there, and the camera actually just focuses into the knife is here. She may still have a chance.
We've discussed this knife a lot, and we've agreed up until this moment, until I think this time when I watched it, I saw that last like glimmer of hope. It was so pathetic that when the killers, they just kind of laugh and be like, wow, what spirit.
But it's like, it's almost, and I agree that it's almost like him laughing at the audience about like, oh, you're still like just holding.
There was no hope. I don't think he wanted us to feel hope. He wanted us to feel that she was pathetic and deserved to die. I don't know.
Wow. You don't go that far.
But there's no real hope in that scene if you watch it. I mean, she kind of gets the knife. They immediately see, you can see that she can't cut herself out of those ropes. And you're like, this is so embarrassing to watch right now.
But just think that if, for example, she doesn't need to just break off the ropes. It's like, at that point, she's not like just in an avenging way. I mean, it's like, if she can actually just break the hands, she can swim away.
Yeah, that's true. I just think it's so clear that she's not going to be able to escape her situation.
But it's true, you know. But it's a thing that is that the movie, it plays a lot with the inevitability, you know, and it plays actually just subverting expectations about like what you expect from this kind of movies. Haneke is not here for giving you that. Haneke is for giving you the opposite, and just giving you like the horror of there is no motivation for bad things happening.
And he actually, in the press conference, he talked about how this movie starts out as a very classic thriller, but then he just wanted to destroy every expectation. So in real horror movies, children don't die and dogs don't die. And in this one, he's like, let's fucking kill the dog, and then we'll kill the little boy, and we'll watch the parents sob over their body for like 10 minutes.
That scene is like, I think that scene I was like, okay, I need to just detach myself from it. You know, at that point I feel like just a bit guilty, but it's okay, I'm going to be like checking the phone because I cannot focus.
I did the exact same thing. I was like, I can't get fully emotionally invested in this. It's a journey I've been on several times, and I'm not willing to do it again.
Yeah, it's like, this is already just draining me at this point. I don't need to just see how like the mother is like just sitting like 3 feet away from the corpse of her kid. It's like I just can't. You know, it was more like, I know what is going to happen. I know how the story progresses. This is not adding. This is just subtracting, but not subtracting from the movie, but subtracting from me.
Yeah, it costs a lot to watch this film, and it is interesting to note that absolutely none of the violence, except one part, takes place on screen. Everything is off screen, which. I think just masterfully underscores that we don't really care about the violence. We care about the pain and agony that it causes, both like physical and psychological. And he allowed us to see that, but we don't get to see any of the violence on screen.
Well, but if you think about like thrillers and this kind of movies, it's the other way around. It's like torture porn because you see how the damage takes place. Like, for example, we were talking a second ago about Audition. Audition actually has like a close-up about like how the needles, they go into the eyeballs, you know? So it's like, and that's the part, is like, this is disgusting. It's not about like the pain that it causes afterwards. It's about like the fact of what that happening. So that's the part that is like so draining. Usually we think about like, I don't know, like Hostel or Saw. And it's like the part is that we don't think about like these people are parents and they just lost their kid. And about like the emotional like blast that is going to be to their lives. That is like they don't know if they're going to survive or not. But it's like when they're on the kitchen and the father says like, I'm sorry that this is happening, is that they don't give you like more context about like, oh, is he sorry because he didn't trust her at the beginning, that they could have avoided this whole situation?
So I completely agree with you, and this is a moment that Haneke changed for the.
Oh,
I don't even know if you can call it the American version. Is it American? I mean, the actors are like Australian. He's Austrian. It was in English with an American accent, so we'll call it the American version. Ethnocentric. I watched this at the premiere at Sundance whenever it came out, and the audience was so clearly, so emotionally unintelligent that in that moment things are so desperate for this family, and the mother decides that she's going to make a run for it, and the father is completely like, his knee is broken, he can't move, he's in so much pain, and she decides to make a run for it, and he says, Tim Roth's character, the dad, Georg, says, "I'm sorry that I can't protect our family."
Oh, he actually explains why. Okay.
That's what he says. And then the Utah audience was so stupid that they laughed. It was like somebody told the funniest joke, and I felt sick to my stomach. I thought, how can you people laugh at this? Is one of the most horrifying moments in cinema history for me. And there's an audience of people just thinking this is like a dark comedy.
Holy shit, that's sick.
It is.
I mean, because the thing is, like, at that point, it's like, I'm just trying to think about, like, how devastated they can be, like, how, you know, like, defenseless they are in front of these two monsters. And you have been just staring for 5 minutes on the screen to the corpse of a kid.
Of a kid, and this is shown. You see the corpse. This isn't like, he rubs this in your face. It's horrific.
How come you can actually just come out to the conclusion, it's like, this is a comedy? What was the reaction from your sister that you mentioned that you watched this with your sister, no? There.
So my sister is interesting because she was very, very religious, and she never watched a rated R movie in her entire life until she went to college, and her professor recommended this film, and it's foreign, so it didn't have an American rating. So she kind of used this as a loophole, and she watched this film but had never seen a PG-13 movie. And I hope I'm telling this correctly, but she didn't really understand how she was feeling during the film. And then the credits start, and she just started to sob. And so she's had the same very intense emotional experience. And then when there was a new American version, we thought, should we go see it at Sundance? We decided to go see it. And the second the opening credits started, I just thought, why did I bring my sister here? Why did I bring her to see this again?
Yeah, so something that I was mentioning earlier before we started recording is like, I tried to watch this movie. The first time that I tried to watch it was like 2001 or something like that, or a bit later. But this is one of the most oppressive movies that I ever watched. There is like something about it. I watched like plenty of horror movies, plenty of thrillers. It's like one of my favorite genres. But there is something here that is so raw, so about making me feel pain, that I couldn't put up with it. It was like, there is nothing like this. There is, I mean, I understand.
Nothing.
Yeah. Is that there is nothing like so bold and so, I don't know, like harmful to the audience out there. Is that no one dares to do that. So I was like really surprised that they made like years later an American remake.
So let me touch on that. One, I've said since I've seen this movie, and I think I saw it the first time in like 2002-03, I've said since that screening, this is the most impactful film I've ever seen. And I know we're very superlative on this podcast, but I've had that opinion for 20 years now, and that doesn't change. But this viewing made me see it less as a statement on how amoral it is for us to seek violence for entertainment, and really convinced me that he's just a cinematic sadist. And my point is completely underscored by the fact that 15 years later, he was like, you know what? I'm going to make this exact film again with different actors, and we're going to do the whole thing again, just like a serial killer who loved his first kill and was like,
and tried to replicate it over and over again. That's a really good point. I didn't think from that perspective, but it's like, he is the ultimate sadist. But at the same time, I think that is like, he's a nihilistic. A part of me still thinks that is, I need to just see more interviews with him. But I think that is, okay, this is my view of the world. I think that the world is garbage. Everyone is garbage. And it's like, I could try to do something different, but you know what? I want you to actually just buy into my perspective that is garbage. I want you to experiment the world being garbage through my eyes.
Yeah, and he is incredibly gifted as a director, and I love what he does. I read a review or an article that called him his interest in cinematic miserableism, which is the perfect definition. Like, he just wants you to be miserable so you understand how miserable he is. And I will say that I do feel like he has matured incredibly. So like when you look at Amore, it's a very understated, hey, we don't need to watch a kid die to understand how terrible life can be. And then his last one with
Happy Endings with Isabelle Huppert.
Yes, that one was even more restrained, and he moved on from just the awful nature of humanity to the awful nature of racism and income inequality and war-torn regions and refugees. So, but you see, this is where he grew from, was this, I'm not making you as miserable as I am.
Oh yeah, in this movie he's completely unrestrained. It's like he's just going like full steaming. It's that he knows what he wants to do. He gives a shit about the audience. Is that the only reason why he cares about the audience is like, because I only going to be like getting that joy, that rush when people feel bad. When I read the reviews about like this movie made me feel like garbage.
That's what he wants.
Yeah.
He's a fucking sadist, and I liked him a little bit less after today's screening because I feel like I kind of saw through the smoke and mirrors. And I do want to say that there are very few directors that I consider like cinema gods. And I would say that's Ingmar Bergman. I would say it was Tarkovsky. And I do say that it's Michael Haneke. But I saw a little bit of a little, like a flaw in his approach in just looking to make it miserable. And not making this grand statement and shaming us for liking violence that I thought he was making before. So I guess I'm saying maybe I agree with you a little bit more than I used to. And
okay.
You know, there's not much beyond this besides he wants to kick me in the...
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean the thing is that he's amazing of kicking me in the groins. He's like, no one kicks me in the groins like that. But now, if there was some kind of a statement, if there was like some kind of sophisticated message that I could buy into, I will feel more compelled on watching another movie by him. But when it ended, it's like, look, it's an amazing movie. I already know it. I already know that everything that is going to happen, I'm never going to forget it ever again. I would never recommend this movie to anyone. We have to be like really, really, really close for recommending this movie.
So you recently made an acquaintance that has an interest in cinema. He's watched some of Lars von Trier's darker films.
Mm-hmm.
Would you recommend this movie to that person that has clearly shown that he has an interest in kind of the darker side of cinema, the artistic dark side?
To that person, yeah, but it's like, I wouldn't recommend like someone, imagine that you're just talking with someone in a bar.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%.
It's like, no, it's like, this is not like a, I would recommend Happiness before this. Because like the worst thing, I mean, if they ask me about like happiness, I would say like, it's like just the suburban American dream, but then just going wrong. It's like American Beauty, but darker, significantly darker. You don't have to go into their child molesters, and you can leave that around. In this one, it's like, what is this about? It's like, yeah, it's about a German family getting tortured for an hour and a half.
Okay, so what was the first Haneke film you saw?
I think that it was this.
Same. And then I felt compelled to watch absolutely everything else he's ever done that I could track down on DVD.
Well, the thing is that for me, it took me like a bit longer because I found it like so oppressive that is like, I cannot watch this. But I was actually talking with that acquaintance of mine, that friend of mine, and I was telling him, look, the point that I felt like this guy is a genius, Haneke is a genius, is when I went to watch The White Ribbon, and I was with my partner at the time. You know that The White Ribbon doesn't have like a complete resolution. It's that they imply, spoiler alert, they imply that they are the kids, that they are like just killing people. And they just feel like, what can we do against the kids? It's that we cannot hang the kids. We are in an impossible situation here, is that we're fucked. And what have we done is that they're like a bit more of a self-guilt also involved in there about like what happens when the parents that is just connecting also to Benny's videos. It's like, what did you do when you realize that you have raised a monster and you haven't done like anything explicitly wrong? Because it's that just, once again, humanity is sick. It's again like the Haneke message. But at that point when the movie was over, it's like my ex at the time, he was just looking at me, he's like, and that's it? This is dumb. And I remember like just being on my seat, like I just had an orgasm. Like, oh my god, this was incredible.
Yeah, I completely agree. And so this is the first I saw, but then he made Code Unknown with Juliette Binoche that I thought was brilliant. The Piano Teacher, which was one of my favorite films for years, even though it's so fucked up. Cachet, Amour, Happy. And I am going to ask you to watch one more Michael Haneke film.
But not right now.
Not right now.
I'm betting it. I cannot watch another Haneke movie right now.
I do recommend The Seventh Continent to you because I think it's interesting. But the one that I will actually ask you to watch is Time of the Wolf, which is kind of a post-apocalyptic, takes place in France. Isabelle Huppert has 2 children and she tries to keep them alive.
That's interesting. So it's like he actually directed a sci-fi movie. Huh.
I mean, it's very minimal. You never find out what happened. It's just this mom and 2 children trying to stay alive, and like they get a lighter so they can stay alive with fire, and then someone steals the lighter, of course. So, I mean, it's exactly what you would expect from a Haneke post-apocalyptic drama, but anyway.
So people being terrible, but in post-apocalyptic situation.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So do you remember Cassette?
You know, you watched it relatively recently and you tried to talk to me about it. I remember so little.
Oh, we didn't watch it here?
No, I haven't seen it in years and years and years.
Huh.
I remember the pig getting slaughtered. I remember the recordings.
That's Benny's videos. The pig getting slaughtered is Benny's video. No?
No, Cachet. Look at the cover of the DVD. It's a slash of blood because somebody gets.
Oh, okay. Yeah. They also have that, but it's like in Benny's video they actually have like the killing of the cow. It was a cow or?
Oh, with the bullet. The thing.
Yep. That was he used.
Why do we watch his movies? Why do we watch his movies?
The funny thing about like Benny's video, I couldn't remember everything. You know, is that when I saw Paul like coming up on the screen, it's like, wait a second. And it's when I realized it's like actually he was like the main actor of Benny's video. And something like pretty funny is that I had to, funny. There is nothing funny with Haneke when Haneke is involved. But the interesting thing is like I had to review the plot. I couldn't remember everything. I only remember up to the point that Benny, spoiler alert, kills this girl. But I didn't remember everything else that came to that. And it was like, wow, this was like a stroke of genius what happens afterwards. Like the parents trying to cover for the killing, and then Benny actually going to the police like, yeah, I killed a girl, you know, and my parents actually just hid the crime.
But isn't that interesting that I feel the same way about The White Ribbon, Cachet, what else?
Benny's video, Funny Games.
Benny's video, Happy. There are certain ones that I remember that it was impactful and very well done, but I don't remember the plot. And then there are those like Funny Games and The Piano Teacher The Seventh Continent that I'm like, I will never get this out of my mind ever. Yeah,
it haunts you. It completely haunts you. There is like something that is like, he dances, you know, he always like just plays, as I was telling you, the same topic. It's like for him, it's like he's just obsessed with just torturing the audience. You know, it's like about like, look, I'm torturing about like this nihilistic perspective. I want you to feel this too. But in some of them, I think that they work a bit better. More than working a bit better, is like all the details are there in a non-superfluous way. And in other ones, I had the feeling that they don't like work as well as a full work.
Yeah, I think he was really trying out different things, and some of them, they all work, but some of them work better than others. And now, 20 years later, we feel the same level of abuse.
Oh yeah.
Watching an old man slap his old wife for refusing to eat, and I feel the same level of disgust, but I don't have to watch an entire family tortured for 2 hours. That's why I think he's like quote unquote matured as a director. He's become more subtle. There's subtext. I think that we may have talked ourselves out of ever watching another one of his movies.
No, I mean, honestly, that when this was over, I was just like thinking, like, if Blake makes me watch another Haneke movie, we are done being friends. At least like right now, I can't. It's like this is like I just felt in a way that is like, this has been like so emotionally draining.
But I felt the same way, and now I'm making us watch a fluff piece. So.
Sure, but that one is something that I look. I know that the worst thing that it can happen, I feel bored. The worst thing that it can happen with funny games is like I just go into a depression.
That's fair.
Yeah, but I mean the other thing is like just checking like the reviews. I haven't like read any review, but just checking like the overall scores. Haneke is a provocateur. You know, it's like a provocateur in a similar way to what Gaspar Noé and Lars von Trier are.
Bite
But
goddamn Spanish tongue.
no, and we discussed this like multiple times. I think that it's like all of them, they want the audience to feel something. You know, is that they think about like, it's not about like only what I'm portraying there. It's like I go a step above. It's like I actually, for me, it's just what people sitting at home or sitting in the cinema, what they're going to be feeling. It's not only about like what is displaying on the screen. So from that perspective, and we're gonna discuss it, and I'm starting to just put Gaspar Noé on the same boat as these other two.
Yeah, they're totally the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I think that they're like extremely gifted bastards.
But in levels of intelligence, I feel like it's Michael Haneke's way up here.
Sure.
Gaspar Noé's down quite a bit, and then Lars von Trier is.
Yeah. Well, Gaspar. Sure. Well, the thing is, like, I think that Gaspar Noé is like the one that he would say like, I give a fucking shit. I'm going to be like doing what I think that is cool, and you know, maybe connects with you, maybe it doesn't. But if it connects with you, you're going to feel like shit.
He's the only one that doesn't care about being perceived as smart. He's
Exactly.
like, I'm going to do something crazy. Lars von Trier thinks he's super smart, and Michael Haneke is super smart.
Yeah. Lars von Trier is the one that thinks that he thinks that he's significantly smarter than he actually is.
Yep. Poor Lars. Poor Lars. We love Lars.
But the thing is, like, I still think that he's talented. You know, like the three of them is like they're extremely talented. I would say that Gaspar Noé is like the bad boy. You know, but like fuck everything. Is like the anarchist. Yeah. And the Lars von Trier is the you know, that you just pat them, you know, like there is some charm to you. You know, that you have to actually just like record on camera how like a penis gets destroyed in Antichrist. You know, that's how far you need to go. And actually just, you know, like Haneke is that
when you're legitimately afraid of, like, shit.
Yeah, it's like Haneke, you know, like the idea of, okay, there is like a shotgun sound, and then we're going to have to just put up with 5 minutes of a mother like just sitting there. No. It's just like, look, you know me. It's like Haneke is like the Haneke. I just had the feeling that it's like the toxic relationship that you had for years, and you know that he can play your buttons.
So it's interesting that you think about, or you mentioned this, because today I was thinking, why isn't this a film I shut off? And I have shut off a Gaspar Noé film. I was so repulsed by Irreversible with Monica Bellucci that I was like, I will not watch this. Maybe it's just because Michael Haneke is more refined and can get across his point without having to watch everything on screen like Gaspar Noé.
Okay, adding Irreversible to the list.
You son of a bitch.
I'm just saving this for the next time that you go with you know, like the director that we're going to be like watching this week. Sorry, what are you going to say?
No. I was just going to say that I also would have turned off Antichrist if I had been watching it alone, but I was watching it in an art house theater with a bunch of hipsters, and so I felt the pressure not to get up and leave. So I sat through it until the end.
God, that movie. Yeah, I think that's like, the worst. About like just crossing the line into, you just don't know exactly how to make me feel anything, and you are just going like completely into, I don't know how to say this in English, but about like just taking the shortcut. About like, everyone is going to feel disgusted about like just seeing a penis mutilated. So that will work.
Yeah. So you said you would not recommend this. You would in certain situations, but not overall. Would you watch this again?
No. Well, I will. I know that I will. These are the Americaverse. Yeah. But it's this kind of sort of like just almost like masochistic thing that I like good
self-flagellation.
Yeah. It's like I like good cinema. I think that this is good cinema. I think that this is like cinema with capital letters. But at the same time, it's like that's the reason why I love it and hate it, because at the same time it makes me feel bad.
It will take years for me to forget the emotional damage this movie does, and then I'll watch it again, and then I'll talk to you, and we'll have the same conversation again.
Yeah, man, I don't know. It just makes me feel. I don't know who I watched this. I don't know if it was with. No, I hope that I didn't watch it with Paul. I hope that I didn't do this to Paul, because this is not a.
Paul
No,
is not
this.
the audience for this movie.
No. Or I watched it with Marcos. I don't remember, but I watched it with someone, and it was like again the same feeling as the with White Ribbon, about like that was damn. They just backwarded like the scene that I wanted to see, about like them like getting. He said because it's not about that. It's not about like you feeling good. It's about you feeling bad, and it's God. It's the ultimate Deus Ex Machina. It's like he sees himself as the God of his movie. He's the creator.
Even though whoever that was didn't realize it, Haneke succeeded in doing what he wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, it made you feel frustrated, even if you don't actually realize about like the higher term, like the higher concept. It's like, I feel fucking frustrated. I feel like fucking empty at the end. It's not about like one of those movies that I want them to win. No, it's just telling you like, no, they can't. No, just fuck you. So I will recommend this. I will remember like most of it, almost like a word of warning, as we talk about it. It's like, no, you remember this happens. But no, I cannot think of anything. Maybe I could tell Eric to watch it, but it's a movie that is like, if people ask me at work, is like, hey, did you watch any movie like this weekend? What was the last movie that you watched? I will skip this one. Yep,
you would say Marie Antoinette. You would not say.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I don't remember what was the last one, but I'm going to be watching Marie Antoinette. From the director of Lost in Translation.
That's how you would couch it. I feel like there's one more question we haven't answered. Would you watch it again? Would you recommend it? Will you remember it?
Oh, artistically. If artistically there is something, yeah. Fucking yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking yeah. I mean, but it's like fucking yeah from the perspective like, once again, Haneke as a director is a genius. Is that is scene of the 5 minutes. It's that you cannot pull up your eyes from it. It's like how the mother actually just walk around the corpse of the kid and she turns on the TV, like she's like just trying her hardest about like, I don't want to break down. This is about survival at this point. It's like, it's incredible. It's like emotionally, it's like I don't know. I cannot think of
breaking the fourth wall can be super gimmicky. I mean, this is a message film. Regardless of what you think the message is, he's able to do that and do all of these things that can be completely cliched, and he does all of it with such, I hate to use the word elegance, but this is elegant miserableism. It is. It's super elegant.
Yeah. So did they actually, when they break the wall, you said that when they do the bet, it's slightly different, the wording in the American version, but what about when he winks, when he's like just playing hot or cold to find the corpse of the dog?
I don't remember that being any different. I just remember there being slight dialogue differences in some of the important scenes. I didn't feel like there was any shift of messaging. I just noticed, I was like, is he trying to say something different since this is the exact same film? I don't know.
Yeah, or for example, the scene when they bring the wife back and they throw like the ball, and it's like, oh, they're back.
That actress, they bring her back after trying to escape with a ball gag. It's actually a sock tied to her mouth, and it's just that actress. I don't know how she managed to make her body and her face look like that. It was horrific. Yeah,
like the makeup around the eyes and everything. It's like, she's destroyed. At this point.
She's not a human anymore. She's just a plaything for these people.
Yeah. I mean, I had to say that something that I didn't really like this time is that, look, there are like multiple times, like when they meet up with the neighbors. There is at that point you have like 3 people, well, like 4 of the good guys, and just a single guy. That is like you can actually say something, and there is like a second that she tries to say something when she's hugging the friend. Is that there is like a movement on the head about I'm going to say something on your ear, but the wife pulls back. Sorry, the friend pulls back. That is like, you could still say something. What is the worst thing that it can happen? They have already told you we are going to kill you. Is that, what is it?
In the press conference, both Haneke and the actor who played Paul were like, look guys, obviously this wouldn't happen in real life. Like, they could have escaped. There was lots of options. That's not the point. Like, that's not the point at all. You were just supposed to watch this experience. And I don't think people can separate in their heads that, oh no, it's not realistic. Well, no, that wasn't the point.
Yeah. No, I know, because it's torture. It's not about like you find like the gaps and say like that wouldn't have happened. It's a bit more about like, look, this happened in my script, and I'm
And the point
torturing
that
you with it.
it's improbable and still happens on his screen is like, that's how he's kicking you in the balls. Like, oh yeah, this is completely improbable, but he's going to do it to you anyway because you watched this movie.
Yep. I just feel like this, like, what, 100 minutes? Is 100 minutes of breaking the fourth wall. And it's like, basically, in between lines, it's like Haneke is just talking to me the whole time. No, not talking. He's just slapping me the whole time. Pop, 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 for 100 minutes. Pop, 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 pop. Is it from the point that they, from the point that they play the heavy metal of the opening?
Oh God,
he's just doing that.
So good.
Yeah.
I was just going to say there are very few directors that I would let treat me this way. And Michael Haneke is one of them. He's welcome to beat the shit out of me anytime he wants. I will watch anything he makes.
Yeah, because he's elegant while he's doing this, you know. It's like, I don't know if, what was the director? Well, yeah, you can think about Wheat in a very similar way to that.
Okay, yes, he can treat me that way anytime he wants. He can make me sob like a baby. That's cathartic to me. There's nothing cathartic to me about a Michael Haneke film.
No, I mean, the thing is, like, if you actually are cathartic with the director, is that you have like the same kind of nihilistic perspective about humanity. About like, yeah, you're right, we're all shit. I can connect with you.
But at least Emma Thompson came to peace with who she was and how she wanted to go out, and she was kind of repentant about her bad behavior. There's some character resolution.
Redeeming, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree. Is that this is a is that you don't get anything out of this movie. I mean, and don't get me wrong, is that you get something. You get like a cinematic experience.
You get nothing like uplifting, positive.
Yeah. With Wheat, you can still get something out of it, something positive. In this case, it's like,
even if it's painful. And in this case, it's painful, and you're not going to get shit.
Yep. Is that, look, the only thing that you get is that you feel worse than when you started watching this movie. But I still think, as we discussed like multiple times about like Lars von Trier, is like I still think that movies like these are needed. These are bold statements about what cinema can bring to the table. It's film, you know.
Yep. Yeah. No. This is important. It's important regardless of how you feel about it.
Yep. So what about you? Do you think that there's like something artistic about this movie?
Yeah. I mean, like we said, breaking the fourth wall, all of these things he did, it's very bold, and it all works, and it's interesting, and yes.
Yeah. Would you watch it again?
100%.
When? Next week?
5 to 8 years.
Okay, good. Did you recommend this movie to anyone?
I think that I may have recommended it to my husband, who said absolutely not. I would recommend it to somebody in the right situation, somebody that I knew was open to being kind of beat up by art and. No, like your friend Eric. If somebody watches Antichrist, you know there's some sort of masochist in there that's like wanting to feel these things.
Yeah, they're willing to go there. Yeah, that's true.
So yes, I would recommend it, not to my mom, ever.
Yeah, this is not a movie that we actually tell our relatives that we watch.
No, Mom, if you're listening, don't ever watch this movie, ever.
Yeah. But you actually took your sister. I'm like pretty impressed about like just taking your sister that she was not used to our movies to something.
Well,
like
she
this.
had seen the original, and she actually was. I don't know if I invited her, but she was like, "Hey, they're remaking this. Should we go?" And I was like, "Yeah." Actually, I should call her and ask her how she remembers that whole experience. Maybe I was like, "Jess, we're gonna go. We're gonna go."
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you think. We are going to watch this. That's good. And what I was going to say, are you going to remember this movie, all the details?
I will never forget this film until I die, ever.
Did you remember all the details of Bernie's video?
No. Benny's video is one that I felt was impactful, but the details didn't stay with me at all. I remember the scene where he shocks her, and she screams and screams and screams, but that's about all I remember.
God, interesting. I remember after reading it, I remember like pretty clearly after he gives the testimony, you know, and the one that is the father here of the family was the
Over to
father.
you.
It was Benny's father, and Benny's is Paul.
Oh, good lord.
I even think that is like even the casting. It just creates like some kind of narrative because between his movies, not from the perspective it's the
Fucked up
same universe.
incestuous, like,
Yep.
yep.
Yep. That is like, what about if someone that grew up in this kind of way that at the end is like, he just wants more suffering in the world, so he's going to be like just selling them out at the end.
And they had to be father and son now. Now, what if the son plays murdering the father? What kind of atmosphere can we get with that?
Yeah, and just makes his mother like just getting naked, like for some medieval action,
Oh my god.
just to keep like the Greek tragedy going. Excellent movie. I am partially happy that I picked it up, but it's one of those movies that is like yesterday after finishing watching like at midnight almost, I was like, okay, I need to watch something else. I cannot go to bed with this.
A cartoon, Scooby-Doo, Family Guy.
Yeah, whatever it is that is like, it doesn't make me think about like the world is fucked. Yeah, but what is your score?
So I went back and forth between a 9 and a 9.5, and I think it's a 9 for me.
Yep, exactly the same for me. A 9 that I have already written down. It's a movie that it just remains with me. And
it really bums me out that that's the same score that I gave to Spring, Summer, Fall, Winter, and Spring again, but it's just as good of a movie. I just don't feel happy.
Well, but they try to. The interesting thing, and the reason why I respect this movie so much, is that it's intentional. It's 100% intentional, and it's like I can respect like a creator or an artist saying like, look, I'm going to make you feel like shit. It's like you succeeded, bastard. It's like I had to detach myself because I already knew what is like the potential damage that you can do on me with this movie. That I had to just detach myself from the movie. It's like, I already know what you're
100%
doing.
100% the same. I was like, no, I'm going to pay 60% attention because I can't hurt that bad right now.
Yeah. So it's like I still think that this. I will call it a masterpiece. It's like I'm really surprised. Yep. I also understand that it's like when I see the scores and I see like, oh, a 69 in Rotten Tomatoes, it's like, well, I mean, I understand it because most people are going to say like, why cinema has to make me feel so bad? But it's like cinema can't do that. Most directors, they could actually just start writing a script and say like, no, it's going to be like making people feel bad. So maybe I shouldn't do this. Haneke is like, holy shit, I actually just hit the jackpot.
Well, it wasn't a fun journey, but it was a worthwhile journey.
Yeah.
I think we would agree on.
Yeah, definitely.
And we'll feel in the mood for a Michael Haneke film in a few months.
I don't know about that. Let's just give it a bit more time. Let's not promise anything to the audience. So, what is the next movie that we're going to watch that is your pick?
We are going to watch a 100% palate cleanser. We're going to go to the universe of Sofia Coppola and watch Marie Antoinette.
Did you watch this movie already?
I have seen it 4 or 5 times, and Pablo hates Sofia Coppola.
With a reason.
Hates Sofia Coppola, but I just feel like I'm fully justified if he made me watch Funny Games again. I'm going to make him watch Marie Antoinette with modern music.
You wanted to watch Funny Games too. Come on.
I did. I'm a masochist. I completely agree.
And it's funny about Marie Antoinette. When I always hear about this movie, I think that I told you this, is like when I was back in Spain, I used to go to this bar like 2 or 3 times a week. And the owner used to love cinema a lot, so we talk a lot about cinema. He introduced me to many classics, and
like Marie Antoinette.
And talking about The Godfather and talking about Sofia Coppola, I think that at that point, Marie Antoinette had just come out, and we're talking about like, well, Sofia Coppola may not be that bad. I mean, she directed Lost in Translation, and it's a okay movie. It's a good movie, let's just say.
It is a good movie.
Yeah, and what he used to tell me is that, look, you guys, you and your kind that loves like Hollywood classic age, is that you guys complain so much about Sofia Coppola being terrible in The Godfather 3 that you push her to direct. So Marie Antoinette is your fault. It's your fault.
Thank you, for giving me Sofia Coppola films because I love her. I love her so much.
Holy shit, and it's 2 hours. I mean, at least I hope that it's not like so much like torture porn.
Not that I don't want you to watch the film, but this is 100% the type of film that you could like walk out of the room and come back and it's still just like pretty dresses and cake.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I have to say that I'm not like the biggest fan of how do you say like
Good films. Great directors.
I'm going to pretend that you said both things. I mean, like, not coming of age. How do you say like this? In Spanish, it's called like cine de época. That is like whatever is like from the 16th century onwards.
Oh, a period piece.
Period pieces. That's the term.
I'm not either. I promise you. Like, when have I ever made you watch a period piece? But this holds a special place in my heart. I don't know if it's because I saw it when I was closeted and I was like, this is everything.
I mean, I'm just trying to think that it's going to be like a period piece mixed up with Romeo plus Juliet.
I'm going to pretend you didn't compare Sofia Coppola to Baz Luhrmann. But it's fine. We'll talk about this in a week.
Okay. I have my pick for the next week. I'm not going to be giving it up away.
Is it Australia? Are we going to watch Australia?
The 3 hours. And I'm going to check if there is an extended version, man. Okay, man. That was great. I mean, I love talking about this movie. And I was just talking with some friends and I was telling him, like, this movie, if Björk brought us close, is like this movie is actually what is set up like the bond that we have.
Yeah, no, 100%. Björk was the superficial, oh, hi, I'm Jose, I'm Blake. And then Michael Haneke was like, you're going to be my best friend forever, at least for the next 8 years.
Yeah, it's from the perspective that, yeah, you know, both of you are gay. Of course you're going to be liking Björk, but it's like not every single gay person is going to be like liking Haneke and Funny Games.
It takes a special couple of fucking gaybros to bond for them.
Definitely. Okay, man. Anything else to say about this movie?
Maybe go watch this film. I don't know. It depends on how much you want to hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I wish that we had like an open line for people to just tell us their opinions if they end up like just watching it. But it's like it's something that the 4 people or 5 people that are listening to us, I would love to hear your opinion of this movie.
Email us at blakesfilmreviews@gmail.com. That's a legit email address. blakesfilmreviews@gmail.com. If you watch Funny Games.
I think that we also have like an email address that is basically the.
Oh yeah. You set one up.
Yeah. I set one up. It's like that is basically like the acronym of our gay bros go to the bar to talk about cinema. GGT.
It's a lot of letters.
Yeah, it's like all those letters is like at gmail.com. Yeah, but either of them will work. It's fine. Yep. You guys will find a way to reach us out. Oh man, that was great. And to whoever is listening to this, if you haven't watched it, just watch it. Maybe. Or not. Who knows? Yeah, call me maybe. Oh man, that was great.
Yeah. Wash your hands.
Bye.